everybody thought it was just a plane crashed into a building in Lower Manhattan. So we jump in the news car and we go down, and then we realize what's going on.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. Clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning there.
A solemn morning at Ground Zero as the nation reflects on this terrible day in history. A single bell tolled at 8:46 to denote the exact time the first plane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center 13 years ago today.
Eliade argues that the formation of sacred space occurs through 3 steps. First, a hierophany or theophany, or instance of the divine or God himself appearing to humankind. Second, the formation of an axis mundi, which is an imaginary pole that connects the heavens to earth and the underworld. And finally, consecration, or the formal recognition of a place as holy. There are then really 2 approaches to seeing if Ground Zero can be defined as sacred space. The first approach is looking at Eliade's definition very literally and seeing that no, there was not a documented incidence of the divine appearing to anyone during 9/11. So we can already say that Ground Zero does not fit Eliade's definition of sacred. But if we were to define sacred the way Merriam-Webster's dictionary does, as, quote, entitled to reverence and respect, end quote, or, quote, highly valued and important, end quote, it is obvious that Ground Zero does adhere to these definitions. History classes are beginning to discuss the event now that kids are too young to remember or have been alive for it. News outlets play footage from the event and interviews associated with it every year on September 11th, and there's even a large memorial built on the former site of the Twin Towers that has rituals such as the placing of white roses. Through these rituals and observations, Ground Zero can definitely be seen as respected, which does align it with the Merriam-Webster definition of sacred. The second approach is to apply Eliade's definition more liberally. The attacks on the Twin Towers were part of a holy war declared against the United States by Osama bin Laden. The deaths of the victims of 9/11 could then be seen as part of a hierophany in the eyes of al-Qaeda, in which they're instructed by their divine to kill these civilians in the name of the holy war. The destruction on Earth can represent the Earth aspect of the axis mundi, while the innocent people who lost their lives represent the heavens, and the evil behind why these people lost their lives can represent the underworld. Alternatively, the reminder of such a terrible event can represent the underworld, while the heavens are a look forward to the future, a world in which there is no terrorism. Finally, the consecration of this space can be seen through the eventual construction of the One World Trade Center. Regardless of which way you choose to look at it, it is very clear that Ground Zero is sacred space.
September 11th, 2001.
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Oh my God.
When the planes hit. When the towers fell. When nearly 3,000 people died on this spot. It is hallowed ground.